Yo, what up? This Big Loon. This is It's Up There podcast.
Don't mean I don't love you. Get them girls, I was gon'
Yeah. Round of applause for my motherfucker. I want to welcome everybody to This Up There podcast. You know where you at right now. It's a must I let everybody know, man. It's a pleasure that you've been involved with my climbing up to the top. My name is Big Loon. I have the fastest growing podcast in the world right now, especially when we dealing with impact. So I got to say thank you to my people. I got to say thank you to the people that's been here since day one. Right now, if you here and you want to find a way to support this movement, head to patreon.com/It's Up There podcast. I really appreciate the people that's been involved. You are helping me change my life and my family's life as I go up this ladder that this industry has. So I want to say thank you guys for that. As you guys know, with podcasting, I'm finding a special place. I'm finding that I occupy a very specific place that very few people can get in. And so as I move through this game, man, I want people to know, like, especially people that's looking at me, a lot of people looking at me saying it's possible. And for me to be the light means a lot. That is such a valuable position to hold in people's hearts, minds, right? That they feel as though because you done it, they can do it. I want to be clear that they don't understand that. See, they viewing the touchdown celebration. They ain't never seen what's happening in between the whistles, in between the sticks, right? Every first down I had to get, when it was 4th and 10 and I went for it. When it was 3rd and inches and I did a play action, and they don't get to see my craftsmanship, right? All they get to see is my execution. And so if all you depending on and all you pointing at and all you pulling from is execution, you in a bad place. Because the information is in the preparation, is in the ingredients. The execution is just resemblance of the preparation. You understand? So I like to get with dudes and figure out, hey, what's your ritual? Like, what's your thing? What keep you zing? Because I know I talk once a week, twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week, right, to people and things like that, depending on my schedule. And I'm talking about interviews where you got to be entertaining and informative. I created that element. I'm trying to provide that landscape in this market, you know, but I see that I'm making it easier for people. So people like, you know what, Loon did it and he really doing it. I can do it. And I think it's cool in a way, but it ain't cool in a way because, and it ain't cool because of my selfish reasons, right? To be like, yo, man, you don't know how hard this was. Like, you don't know how hard this is. You don't know how much work go into this. And the idea that I make it look so easy, it says something to what I'm able to do. But boy, I know the sweat equity is involved in it. And when we talking about podcasting, we talking about Loon coming into a market, right? And having a certain amount of impact, right? Right now, what we trying to view is my conversion. All I need now is eyeballs. The conversion is a pretty good number, so we'll be able to probably capitalize on the more eyeballs that see it. So it's just about audience at this point and access to audience. Loon come in the game and I battle with dudes that come in with built-in fan bases, right? So I come in creating a fan base with the game. It's dudes that come in with built-in fan bases from rap, or from their celebrity. They're pulling their celebrity from somewhere. So I come in to where I have to cut through celebrity and ability, right? So I got to provide something that's in the middle of that, that's so different that they can say, this dude that's famous, I want to listen to this dude here, right? And so the ingredients that go into that, the hours of understanding how to communicate, what words to use, transitions. Like, I remember for a year straight, I just studied them politician House of Representatives and stuff. They would just have these long drawn out, that what appears to be boring conversations, right, about frivolous laws. And they may not be frivolous, but some of the conversations were just long and drawn out. But you would have 5 minutes. They will take it to someone else. You can pass your 5 minutes on the next dude to make sure he get 10 minutes. Or if your boy had a better point, right? In your 5 minutes, you probably ain't got much. You pass it back to him. So now let him build on what he was saying in his first 5 minutes, right? And just understanding words that they use, because you have to understand the gravity attached to the communication in that field, right? These are legal things that they can be held accountable for if they say the wrong thing or if they pigeonhole themselves. So I just studied those kind of things, and just the time that was put in all of these areas, right? For people just to think, oh, I can sit down and talk. Yeah, nah, we can sit down and talk. Now I'm talking. Yo, LOON be sitting down and talking, it be going. Sit down and talk. Then I got to thinking, boy, in this life, in this game, or when you hustling for something, or you just going for it, hey, you got to give something to get something. You got to give something to get something, right? If you don't pay for somebody that got the information to do it for you, you got to pay with your time, your life. You damn near got to throw your whole life into something to understand the infrastructure, just to be able to navigate without the help that's going to cost you all of your budget. You understand? But boy, a lot of people want to get in these industries, right, and get in these positions and get rich for nothing. It's impossible to get rich for nothing. It's impossible to get rich for free anymore. You got to spend something. And when I say spend something, it may not be money. It may be time. It may be the only way you can get there is spending your time doing it. That's it. Ain't no buying your way right there. That position there, you got to work your way through that tunnel. That's the only way to get it, digging. And the people that's there is still digging, so they may not got time to even tell you. You understand? So you got to be equipped with either information or you got to pay one of them to stop digging. And I heard Jay-Z say this, and we'll get into the Jay-Z and Kevin Hart interview, right? What do it cost you for me to stop digging on my behalf to come help you dig? You understand me? I'm building companies. I'm building brands. I'm building infrastructures. I got business plans. I'm upgrading my house. I'm upgrading my standards. I'm learning. I'm teaching my children. I'm trying to lead the way for my family. I'm evolving. I'm trying to be a better parent, a better dude, a better man, a better son. See, a lot of people hustling for new chains and watches. I'm hustling for experiences for my children. I want to take them to Greece. I want them to sleep in one of them bungalows, them $25,000 a night joints, them big boy joints out there. I want my children to be able to experience that. My little family, we cuddle up and get on over there, and I'm hustling for something different. I'm on a whole nother type vibration. But to get rich or to get some information nowadays, you're going to give something. You're going to sacrifice at the bare minimum. And a lot of people want everything from the people that sacrifice without sacrificing. You want to take from me something that I earned, that cost me all of me, that I was unsure about. Prior to the execution of it, I didn't know whether or not it'll work, but I believed. And I know the universe and God said he'll provide. And I know when I look up under the rock and them ants right there, some kind of way they still breathe, and that's telling me somebody providing for everything. So I got to ask myself how I'm thinking that I missed out when they talking about providing. Ain't no way. So I believed in myself, put my first step out, second step out, failed, kept going. You want to get from me what cost me all of me. I'm confused. But sacrifices will be made when you're trying to get on. I'm just lucky enough that my base is the people that's cutting checks, that's getting money, right? The people that like my shit be the people that be out there getting business deals done and got the big yachts, and right? So I'm resonating with the people that's in position. And I'm just lucky enough to be in that position, right? The thing is that that's my base. But see, you got to get crafty in this game, because you got to, first of all, you got to recognize what's your base, who I'm serving, who buying from me, who like me, right? I got lucky enough that the people like me got money, right? A lot of the people that like me, they hustling, they getting to it. They don't mind. They can, you understand, they can move shit around and provide shit for their family, so they living in a certain way. Now, let's say you get the other side of that coin. And you got the less fortunate people that love you, the people that really don't got the money to spend and do nothing and can't really help you, but you got them strength in numbers. You got a lot of them. Now you got to get crafty. See, those that understand the game like LOON understand that there's two ways to go about getting your money out this game. You can get it from the companies or you can get it from the consumers, right? If you got a whole bunch of people but they broke, you can go get it from the companies to put them companies in front of them people, right? You play the numbers game. If you don't got a bunch of people but you got a bunch of culture equity, you might can get it from the companies because that equity helps legitimize their brand, right? It's a game to understand where you fit in, but it's two different ways to do it. You have to get crafty when you understand who your audience is. The problem is all rappers want to serve the same audience in the same way. That ain't how it work. Same with podcasts, and everybody think they gonna jump in LOON lane. You can't serve these people that with me. The vibration too high. They eat good when they come with this shit. We talk about all the real shit. You understand me? So and you can't copy your way up on $1 million no more. It's dead. There was a brief moment, right? And this is for the game catchers, right? My people. You know, there was a brief moment in which you can really get rich off the internet without any influence. That's over with. You really can't. They really done locked it back in where you really can't get rich for free no more. At a certain point of time, man, you can really go viral. Ain't no more going viral. All your people got to really post you, and they ain't doing that because they've created economy with that. Posting people has now became the way that people pay their bills. So just think about it, right? I've seen it the way they want to just take like 10 posts a day, say they get $5,000 a post, that's $50,000 a day, that's 1.5 a month. That's like $18 million a year just from social media, just one page. And so because we don't understand multitasking, we don't understand that we can also run that business and also elevate other talent and amplify voices at the same time. And if you're not careful, you'll be told by media and people that's supposed to create awareness around what you do on whatever field or in whatever field you're doing, you'll hear them tell you certain things like shut up and dribble. Because if I can trick you not to doing the balancing act, especially in the prime. See, the thing is that even us, a lot of us done start juggling too late. You done lost it. You done lost it all now. You done figured everything out. Not saying that, you know, it's cool, but I'm saying that the prime time is while you are number one, understand the balancing act. Oh, no. You don't tell me to shut up and dribble. Or you can tell me what you want to, because it ain't what they call you, it's what you answer to, right? I expect someone that's supposed to want me to stay marginalized to say, yo, shut up and dribble. Yo, shut up and dribble. That's what they supposed to tell you. Yo, nah, just rap. Nah, just rap. Nah, don't go sit with home. Just rap. You know, they gonna trick you in that position and is dumb enough to fall for it. There was an old saying, and there is an old saying that the cream rises to the top. You always hear me say, if the cream rises to the top, because I'm not sure the cream rises to the top. I think the hustle rises to the top. I think the saying that the cream will rise to the top and the saying that hard work beat talent when talent don't work can't live in the same place. I believe if the cream rise to the top, I wouldn't see some of the best ball players at the center in the hood hooping. What I'm saying is that if it was purely about talent, those people wouldn't be in that position. It is not purely about talent. It's about circumstance. It's about timing. It's about information. It's about way more than just talent. But talent is a big chunk of it. You always got to know the first thing is to get inside the structure. Because you ineffective. I don't care how effective you are outside the structure. So if you balling at the center, don't nobody give a fuck about the 30 and 30 you had for 7 straight years out there. When in the league, the records is the records, right? So what happens is the cream doesn't rise to the top because the cream can be outside of the standards, outside of the industry. The cream itself can live outside of the industry standards. Just like in the NBA, the stats are the stats. The people before you put the stat sheet down. So whatever has happened before you kind of sets the precedent on the standards, right? So if you come in the NBA and the stats say, yo, it's 35 assists a game is the record, that's the record. No, if they say it's 10 triple-doubles a season, that's the record, right? The most triple-doubles a person got a season is 10. Don't nobody give a fuck if you getting 40 assists at the center league and you done got 81 triple doubles in the last 2 years at the center league, it don't count inside the structure. So a lot of people just work on talent, and you can have talent and be balling at the center. I seen some go around saying, can you have information and be broke? Of course you can have information and be broke. That's what I'm trying to tell you, right? You balling outside the center, right? You just focus on all the information. You ain't got no execution now. You just smarter than everybody. You look funny now. You out of touch. You think everybody else is out of touch. You think you the smartest. You think you know it all. You one of them, right? And we applaud originality, right? We applaud dudes trying to figure it out. But a lot of times when you dive deep into straight information without execution, that's a problem. And I've been preaching that for so long that it just is like beating the old drum at this point. But let's talk about this Kevin Hart and Jay-Z interview. You know, I always say that he needs to come out. The level of understanding that Jay-Z has gives us a window of opportunity, right? We have a window of opportunity when we're able to sit down and pick his brain sometimes, just because the pathways that he's created. I always tell people it's not about who's the smartest, meaning who has the most degrees, took all the tests, know how to do. Man, this is about who has problem-solving pathways, and I have a lot of them, and I'm trying to develop more pathways in my mind that when a problem pops up, there's pathways to break it down and try to solve it. And when you deal with someone that has to been as creative as a Jay-Z, as a Kanye, as a Diddy, some of the people that paved the way, some of the people that's created what we know is the industry standard in regards to contracts, marketing, all these things, these people are dealing with specifics. So interviews with these people always give me a certain level of motivation. Like when I watch them, I be like, yo, let's get it. Like, let's get it. Let's see what I'm talking about. Hopefully the dude that's interviewing them gonna get some game. That's why I'm so important in this market. I have to sit with these kind of people. And I don't do that and say that to pat myself on the back. I want to be clear to my audience because I really, really in my heart believe I'm past the point where I have to say that. The people that's here now, you know I'm past that. What happens is I have to keep reminding myself because very little things I can pull motivation from. I really don't get motivated from these things, right? I don't care about come in with jewelry that don't, again, I want to provide for my children. I want to be a better person and help the hood, help people understand how to navigate. That's my calling. I have fun doing this. This ain't work for me. Right, so I say these things not to toot my own horn, and I want to say that. I say these things because, number one, I enjoy what this position that I've worked myself into. That's number one. And number two, if I'm not able to pull from me, I might not be pulling for me. You know, I got to be able to pull from me to pull for me. You know, if ain't nobody rooting for me, I'm rooting for me. If ain't nobody clapping for me, I'm clapping for me. I believe in me. I write my own checks. And everything I do is information-based. Boy, if I was only looking for money, I could have cashed in a long time ago. I'm looking for information. It's going to cost me a little more time. Information costs time. Getting a job done costs money. I'm familiar with both ways, and that's important to have both those things in your tool belt. Never close off yourself. But let's get to this interview, man. I will say this. Kevin Hart, in regards to his, and you know I always look at the communicators. Kevin Hart is a great communicator, especially with this interview. I saw a different side of him. I think he provides us several different sides, but it's almost still like the same gear. His voice, it may be just his voice or his tone, right? He gives us that same gear. But this was a great interview, and they got into a few things. Let's look at a little bit of it, and we'll have some game on it.
I hope that at the end of this journey, or however it ends out, like I represent that to, you know, as well, like a piece of that. Yeah.
I've seen you make that change, though. I've seen you make that change in growth and in person, just in conversation, information that you've started to put out, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it made a shift from money.
Like even that, if you look back to Reasonable Doubt, listen, like even the songs that were like more braggadocious and out there and about money were really more so directed at like the system in America. Like you put us in these situations and you handcuffed us. and you put it behind our back, and we still made our way. It's like almost like a, like a peacock, like spreading his wings, like, we made it. Like, so the transition has happened, because with more information that you get, you evolve and you grow. Absolutely. But even in my first.
Let's put a little context around that. So Jay was just speaking about how when he goes home that he's bombarded or he may be approached with certain offers that's unreasonable from his family. And we all know what it's like being the head of the family, right? Now, I think it speaks to the family's hustle. If I'm your people and you can't get no money to come through and I generate this much money each year and you can't figure a way to slide $2 million your way for me and you make 30% of it or some, whatever the case may be, you can't figure a way to make no money with me. I think that speaks to your ability to digest the information, not only that I'm putting out publicly, but that you have access to through me privately, right? That's number one. But number two, when you come home as powerful, right? I wonder, does that speak to the conditions, right? Is that desperation? Right? Is that desperation, right? Damn, I'm in here trying to kick it with the family and they trying to, is that desperation or is that greed? Does that speak to the conditions or does that speak to the family just being inconsiderate? I'm not sure, but a lot of people do have delusional dreams, right? Again, a lot of people, what I'm noticing, a lot of people are copying someone else's dream. And usually the person you are copying, you're copying because they make it look easy. And usually they make it look easy because they're doing something they enjoy doing. And that's where you're going to run into the brick wall. Because if you don't enjoy doing it in the way that they enjoy doing it, then it won't appear as easy as they make it look. It's hard till it ain't hard. It ain't even hard when you love doing it. But when it becomes a job, right? We heard T.I. speak about stepping into podcasting. Like, yo, you got to read ads, this, that, and that. Wallow and them seem to love reading ads. LOON, I read ads. Them is the checks. Bring them ads here. You understand? And this is what we do. This is part of it, right? We enjoy doing this. But you can't put your delusional dreams on me because I hustle. Like I got a mean hustle. I'm on fire here, and then you gonna push up on me with the delusional dreams and dump them in my lap. I can't afford to do that. I gotta do risk assessment on that. And then you saying something 4,800 for $2 million, man, please. Let's listen to a little bit more.
Right? What else? Like, how else can I be of service? And as you move further and further away from, you achieve these goals that you thought were unattainable in the beginning, and you achieve them. And then you look around and you say, okay, how can we duplicate this? The reason we created Roc Nation was to be able to say, okay, this is all the information we gathered. Here it is, Rihanna. Here it is, Kanye, whomever, right? Like, and just like, here's the information. So if we achieve those goals at 36, you do it at 26. Jeez. And if we make, if we created a $1 billion company, you create a $7 billion
We're giving you the infrastructure that we know works, but we're embedding it to you at a young age so that it works earlier for you and that you can succeed and surpass what we've done.
Yeah, because they're building off, had you had someone at 26 or earlier to say, here's Kev Hart Productions, this is how you do it. You don't need the back end. You want to create the content. You want to own the content. You want to take it here, et cetera, et cetera. If you had someone just to give you that roadmap has been given to people since the beginning of time. We just was never
privy to it.
Yeah. We never had access to that sort of information.
I call it the room.
I believe he's talking about Kanye as a very specific number with the 7 billion, but nonetheless, let's take the information and try to extract it out of it. It's like what I always tell people, it's the handoff. The arrow you drop will be picked up by someone that was following you. So it's important to understand that. Now, we stand on the shoulders of people, and that's what I mean when I say we got great representation of what hip-hop can be as it's getting older, right? When you deal with a Jay or a Kanye, or you deal with a Diddy or some of these people that's kind of older in the game, established. A Birdman still doing good business. A Master P still doing good business. A lot of these people still doing good business and flourishing, right? It shows that hip hop in its older age still has a place. And I think for a long time we shunned that, and I never understood why we kick back on older rap. Now, I do think that we need to allow rappers to evolve. I don't want to see you showing up in the costume you had on in the 80s. That's embarrassing to me. I know you don't want to wear that. I know you old. I know you ain't trying to, right? So when you doing that, I'm knowing it's a check move, and that feel bad. But to be an older black man is becoming cooler. You know what I'm saying? We got the older black men now they looking like billionaires. Look like when you hit a certain age, boy, if you've been hustling good, they might put a B next to you. I'm telling y'all how important it is to see these dudes elevate and execute. It's very important. I always tell y'all that, yo, Jay got to come out. Diddy got to sit with the game givers. They got to come sit with Kanye. They got to come sit with, because it ain't about sitting with, it's about everybody that's eating off that you just, all them gems you just dropped right there, they go through the culture for the next 5-10 years, and they picked up on TikTok over here 2 years late. It's over here, a clip from there over here. Somebody asking, can they use that clip over here for a platinum song, right? It's just, that's how our culture learns, and it's important to feed us in the way that we can learn.
There's a moment in time where we realize that our likeliness is more valuable than our actual income, right? Our likeliness, the attachment to.
Are you saying your likeness?
Well, likeness. What am I saying?
Likeness?
Is it likeness? Did I f it up?
No,
I may have f it up. Is it likeliness or likeness?
I don't know which one you. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know where you're going.
If I'm attaching myself to a brand, I'm giving my likeness.
Likeness, yes.
Okay,
likeness.
yes. All right. 1-0. So what?
First, I want to say I know Kevin Hart probably know what likeness is and how to execute it and make sure that he's capitalizing off of it. But I do think it's interesting for him not to know the word. But the first thing you say when you see this is how he don't know what likeness mean. Then you say, man, he must got somebody in position running his business that he trusts. And that's all good until it ain't all good. And of course, I'm assuming, but I'm not sure that I'll be worth $300 million and get something like likeness wrong, right? No shade to Kevin. I know he's a great businessman, astute businessman. You know, they say he makes a lot of money, and I've watched him execute, elevate throughout our culture, and be a great representation of what a comic can and will be if he puts the work in and does what has to be done, right? So we know he's a big dog in that space, 100%. And for the audience looking and listening and don't know what likeness is, it's just your brand, right? So if I'm going to let you put out that Kevin Hart wears Manscaped, or if I'm going to let you put out that Kevin Hart uses Manscaped, we need to make sure that we get some equity, or we need to do some kind of compensation for that, because the fact that I use it affects a lot of people. They use what I use. My skin looks good, or right? They want to be with whatever I'm with. So we got to make sure that we swap out something that's worth me being involved in that way. Now, if we don't, I can just buy it on the low key and use it.
If you're not. My question is, when you make the decision to attach yourself to somebody else's body of work, or a cameo, a moment of whole, is that all based on relationships at this point, or is it based on talent that you're a fan of?
Yeah, mostly relationships.
Okay.
You know, it's mostly relationships. It's actually always been mostly relationships. Sometimes it's talent, and sometimes someone asks me to be on something. Pretty much every song that I'm on, you know, I'm asked to be on. I don't ask people to be on songs.
Yeah.
And I never charge.
How many no's?
Oh no, it's a lot, way more no's than yes.
But do the no's get to you? Like, do you have to verbally say no? Or
I try to be straight up. I try to be straight. Sometimes it slips through the cracks. Sometimes I want to do it, and my life is in a certain place, and I'm moving, and I can't do it. But I typically try to be straight up with people. I don't like to drag and like waste people's time or hold them. You know, if it's something like I'm not in space right now to create, or if I don't like the song, it's like it's just not for me.
So he basically says everybody asks him. So now you ask yourself, how does someone like him discover music? Like, how does Jay-Z discover music, entertainment, podcasts, whatever he's watching? Like, what's his algorithm? It seems like that everything is, see, there's two ways to get music. And I think it's a process for somebody like Jay-Z or someone to get up on a podcast or new music or a new rapper or something. And I think that don't even matter how good the music is. What I think is that a lot of people like me or you or most people, we discover music, but when you get to a certain level, now almost everything is introduced to you. It's like, yo, this is such and such, sign to such and such, man, coming out of such and such, making a lot of noise. Like, they got to give you some fluff around it. Not just, yo, this is a great show, or this is high level game, or this is, they got to put some fluff around it to even think they can. A lot of people will think it's disrespect taking certain things to certain people. And I don't, if you got that kind of relationship, if dudes get to that place where they homeboys can't be like, yo, I'm listening to such and such. But I think that kind of takes the nostalgic feeling away or out of it when you gotta be like introduced to your music or have some expectations tied to it. You don't just discover it like everybody else, or just discover a clip on Instagram or this popping podcast, or, you know, it's like, how far up do you gotta be? Even with Drake or most people, like even with anybody that's up there, you know what I'm saying? It's almost like, man, you done got so far up there to where somebody got to tell somebody that tells somebody that's close to you. It's like 4 levels before it get to you. That's a hell of a situation.
What are you leaving your house for? Mm-hmm. You know, like every second that you spending away from the development of these people that you brought here, that you love more than anything in the world. So what are you going to spend that time on? So that changed a lot. That changed practically everything for me. Was it?
Okay.
And Tata came to me and he told me, man, you know, I went to see my mom based on what you said. He hadn't seen his mom. His mom passed away. He went to go see his mom. And I hadn't gone to see my nephew. So here it is. I said this in the song. I know what to do, but I wasn't, you know, I hadn't matured to the point where I can really do it.
You can actually go and do it.
The execution of that. It was so much pain there that I couldn't do it, but I knew it was the right thing to do, right? So even that, like, think about that. Knowing and doing it's not close. You think it's this close.
Far.
It's this far.
Yeah.
It's far.
Yeah.
You know, so I knew the right thing to do, but I wasn't able to do it 2 years later. I mean, finally went, most painful thing ever. You know, I've been multiple times since, but the fact that I was saying that, knowing it, so that's, again, like you were saying about self-awareness, that's a big checkpoint for me. That was one of the times where I had to, you know, okay, you can't just be saying these.
All right, let's deal with that for a second, man. I think it's a lot of game being put down right there. Like he said, you think doing and knowing is really close to each other, but it's not. I always talk about people's interpretation of information, right? I always think it's important for you to understand what you're looking at and going through, because that's the only way you can explain it. And if you can't explain it, they can argue you never experienced it. When all hell break loose and all the records disappear, because we just on a power grid, so we never know. So we need to be operating with information. But I agree, there's a misunderstanding between the marriage of execution and information. That's why you see some of the smartest men you know selling bean pies in Times Square. And that's why sometimes I engage with those who couldn't execute. I get up close to them and like to look them in the eyes and like to be like, because I know that's possible if you playing. It's possible to get caught and lost in this, so make sure you don't, right? I had to get close to them dudes, man. It's almost like seeing a ghost. It's like it's a case study for me. Those that had the information but couldn't execute. That is a hell of a story, and it's a lot of people in this industry that now are quote unquote fake gatekeepers that are only failed artists and failed execs and failed video guys and failed radio guys, right? And now they took the information that they learned while in the industry, and now they put all of that in their backpack, and now they appear as a gatekeeper because they know a little bit more than you. But you looking at them like that, and I'm looking at them like a man that couldn't execute. I'm looking at men that's been in position that didn't score. I'm looking at men that got the ball with 3 seconds on the clock and jacked the shot off 40 times out of 40, right? They couldn't get nothing going. So, and I don't look at them to shame them. I look at them to make sure I realize that it's possible. I see the pain and the hurt behind some of the creators that might have got their ideas stolen because their business wasn't right. Never could bounce back. Had 4-5 hits in 2010 because they was pushing through DJ Khaled or this person or that person, but they didn't get no information while they was there, so they don't know what to do after they would let go. I see the pain in them people's lives that they can't get back going. I can't never be one of them. If I don't execute, I'm a failure. I don't get caught up in the fame. I love all the homeboys. I love them. And it give me major confidence. It give me confidence when I see people that I grew up listening to or that I just respect their game. Like, oh, I respect home on to the game now. They do something to me, right? So it give me that push, but I don't get caught into that like, oh, Lord, that's enough. Nah, we looking for information and money, and not to be confused with nothing else. So sometimes I engage these dudes, and that's why sometimes I'm going to start bringing some of them on the pod to talk about that, to talk to them and get into that. Like, you was almost there. You was there. You just didn't pay attention. You lost it all. Like, yo, help other creators not go through that, bro. That's a dark place. Luckily, a lot of people are mentally coming out of that with their mental health intact, right? Because you can lose yourself in all this fame. Another thing about this Kevin Hart and Jay-Z interview, man, he was really engaged, Kevin Hart. And it showed me also, like, it's important when you're doing these podcasts to speak to people you want to speak to talk to the people that you engage with, right? Because that's what get it going. Don't even just talk to people just because they're a big name. The white boys got that down. Like Full Sin, as I watch them, they can sit by somebody they don't really care about and have a pretty good podcast. You know what I'm saying? So it's a hell of a little thing. But me, I got to really kind of be engaged, or my fans going to probably peep that LOON ain't even on it that day. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that was a good interview with Jay-Z and Kevin Hart, man. If you ain't went and saw that on Paramount, shout out to Paramount, man. Go see that right now. Let's move on. Let's look at this clip.
Gotta choose up. Find you some value. You know, sometimes before we get friends, we have to do an interview. How long have you been broke? How many times have you changed your name on your light bill? How many of your bills in your little cousin's name? Do you live in a trailer home or a house? You know, you understand. And it's not about status or material things. It's just about choices. You know, life is different now. And, you know, we are at church. Thank God we're here. Those of us who are walking by faith without a mask and no vaccine. And so we honor the Lord. God is good. I respect all of the men of God here and respect you. Can y'all clap so I don't feel strange right about now? Hopefully we'll get a chance to meet each other when y'all invite me to come to your church. I'm not as expensive as I seem. And so, I don't know, maybe you got a little left over from your PPP loan. Prayer, praise, and power. You understand? Amen. Isn't the Lord great? Amen. Amen. And so, you know, I like coming here because the ground is already tilled with great personality like Dr. Karn. Because one thing I love about him, he's deep in the word, but he knows how to have great humanity. And most don't understand his personality because he is truth personified. And he tells the type of truth that makes most uncomfortable. Because who likes to be told you're just ugly? No one likes to be told that. You know, especially when they have realized it. All right. Most don't get offended until they know the bad thing about themselves. And then somebody else recognizes and says, oh, I saw the ugly too. I just wanted to let you know. So anyway, y'all get that later. God is great. All of you are beautiful. I haven't chosen anyone to be ugly yet. God is good. God is great. You all look great. Most of you have on hats covering most of that anyway. Here's to you. I have a great personality. Okay, I'm going to sing. Daily I shall.
Yo, when I tell you that kind of be really tripping me out. And church people, man, they some of the greatest speakers, but they some kind of way be putting it together a little funny. You know, like she was on there. We're going to fellowship for the, you know, for the convenience of the Lord. We're going to fellowship for the understanding that Joseph was. Just watching church people talk, man, it's just a different level of craziness, man. But hey, they take shots in church, but they are some communicators, boy. Listen to what she said. She said, how long have you been broke? Amen. Amen. I'm telling you, boy, you say anything, throw that amen after, it really get you out the woods. You know, somebody stinks, amen. One of y'all smell horrific, amen. God is great. You smell horrific. God is, and they just let it slide. I'm telling you, that church vibration, that's a different vibration too, man. So let me give y'all an update about something that I've been finding interesting. While I was looking into Gunna's case and why no media was there, I'm starting to understand what's happening down in Fulton County with the DA and some of her tactics and what she's going for. So luckily for me, while looking for something for Gunna that was not there, and we'll get to that later, for some reason, no media presence was down there for Gunna, and I find it very strange, interesting, bare minimum. But this particular DA in Fulton County, the lady that's behind the RICO charges on Young Thug and YSL and Gunna and the whole case with them and YFN Lucci, it was a hearing. And so if you know what she's doing, she's trying to get Trump, and you can't just go get Trump. So what you have to do is there's a strategic and a very specific way that you have to go about doing this. She's trying to hit them with a RICO kind of charge as well, but she's hitting them with an organized crime. Now, to do so, she can't just go arrest Trump because organized crime is not one person. So she has to go and arrest some people that was in conjunction with what Trump was doing. And from my understanding of me watching this hearing, what they're alleging is, and I'm not sure that they're wrong, but they may be framing it in a way, because I have to look at her that way because how she's framing lyrics. Now, has she not been messing with lyrics, I probably can say, well, hey, man, this woman is pretty straightforward, right? But now I understand that she's on the cutting edge of using this RICO law, right? There is nowhere that they've used this RICO law in this kind of way. So that's number one. But let's look at what's happening. So for her to do this and prove that Trump was involved with organized crime, she has to indict several people. One of those people is a senator. This hearing was from his lawyers to disqualify the prosecutors, basically saying that she's clout chasing. So they filed a motion saying, yo, we know what she's doing. She's playing a game. This investigation should be over by now, Yana. We see what she's trying to do. She's trying to wait to election and interfere with the election. It's clear what she's doing, right? In lamest terms, that means, Yana, she's clout chasing. When that comes, she's going to try to make an arrest because it's going to be a big news story and it's going to affect the election. So she may be a part of organized crime. They didn't say that last part, but if you're framing it like Fulton County, you might can say anything. But they question her handling of the case. And again, I like to see in which scope she's viewing things. And in this particular case, I learned a few things. Number one, in regards to Gunna, and I'm not sure if this speaks to why no media was in Gunna's case, there's something called a Rule 22 to have approval to record, right? So I'm not sure anyone's putting in a Rule 22. Anybody in Fulton County, Atlanta, Georgia, surrounding areas that want to go in their county and go in court and give them dudes some press when they go to court, y'all need to file a Rule 22 and get your cameras in there and be able to record. And it's supposed to be in 24 hours in advance. So I learned that. So again, me just searching for, yo, these tactics they using with keeping the media. I'm really trying to, because I'm not one of them podcast dudes that just talking. Number one, I know that, yo, if they just blew the house up next to me, boy, I'm close to that house. You understand me? So if they get a rapper, they might get, yeah, so let's pay attention to what's happening to our brothers because it can affect one of us, right? That's how I look at it. One hand wash the other, both wash the face. So with them saying that she's going to try to interfere with the election or with whatever process that could help the election, because what I think is happening is she can't just arrest Trump. So if I can arrest the senator, and the reason, let me tell you why she's trying to arrest him. What she's alleging and what I think happened is that 9 people, and this is what they was alleging in court, 9 people from 9 different states came out and said Trump won the election knowingly that he didn't, right? That's what is being said. They knew he didn't win the election, but yet they came out and said it. And Fulton County is framing this as organized crime to rig the election for the guy who they are trying to indict to get to Trump. Apparently they're saying that, yo, hold on, let's pay attention to this DA lady in Fulton County. She's raised or was given $30-something thousand to our opponent that's running in this near election. Again, this is politics they're playing. And so I heard them kept saying special grand jury. And I said, oh, okay. So what a special grand jury is that they're going to put them in front of a jury that investigates to see if organized crime took in place. Now, that's different than a grand jury for you and me. We'll be tried in the court of law for some other shit. This is a special grand jury that they're trying to appoint to the case. Now, they're arguing, yo, get this lady off the case. She's playing clout chasing games. She's feeding the media BS. My client has been harassed, right, because she's feeding things to the media. And they're saying, and also on top of that, everything that they're going to pull the people here and ask, they can be covered under Fifth Amendment. And the judge understood that. He was like, that does make sense, everything that they, and so it's just a long drawn out thing where she's literally seeming to be making steps to try to go at Trump. But why isn't she moving quick to lock them up in the same way that she did with the lyrics? They got a lot of stuff where they've said this and that, right? And we talking about, they've said it in the context of having a conversation, not with elaborate production behind it, mixed and mastered, you know, each record with the most clarity that you ever heard with lossless audio, right? Putting out to millions of people. They've said these things in confidence behind closed doors that seeming to leak out, in which can frame them in a way where they may have been involved in things that can be framed as criminal activity. But us, we go in a studio and rap with $1 million budget, and y'all don't have no problem framing that as criminal activity. We got to see the differences in the two, and that's why I'm watching it. And of course, as they get closer to announcing that they're running and things like that, they're going to be releasing things. And of course, if you listen to Trump, he's playing a dangerous game. They almost are saying that, yo, if Trump don't get reelected, he's going to prison. And if he does get reelected, some of the people that's been hitting at him going to get put out of position, so to make sure that he doesn't go in the event that when he gets out. Right, and these are all alleged, of course. Now, here's why I find interesting. As much as I thought he was too cool for school and he really didn't care, he was just hustling and about his business, I'm starting to believe that he's panicking. As they releasing certain things and I'm hearing them behind the scenes on these little conversations, man, I need votes, find the votes, man. I'm going to try to find that as well. But it's like he's panicking. It's almost like he doesn't want to lose. Now, a lot of people will say, yo, he don't want to lose because he has the country's best interests. That's fine and whatever. Yo, that's your argument, cool. What I think is, too, that he has some self-motivation in trying to obtain and keep that position, right? There's something there. I'm not sure what it is. And speaking of him being desperate, there's a video that's been released, and it kind of speaks to some of his, hey, let me watch what I'm saying, right? I don't want I don't want them to deactivate. I don't want them to stop thinking that it's, right? It's almost like, no, don't shush my base. But let's look at this video. I find it interesting. Let's look at it.
We obtained the never-before-seen raw footage of the president recording his address to the nation that day on January 7th, more than 24 hours after the last time he had addressed the nation from the Rose Garden. Let's take a look.
Whenever you're ready, sir.
I would like to begin by addressing the heinous attack yesterday, and to those who broke the law, you will pay. You do not represent our movement. You do not represent our country. And if you broke the law, you can't say that. I'm not gonna, I already said you will pay. The demonstrators who infiltrated the Capitol have defied the seat of justice. It's defiled, right? See, I can't see it very well. Okay, I'll do this. I'm going to do this. Let's go. But this election is now over. Congress has certified the results. I don't want to say the election's over. I just want to say Congress has certified the results without saying the election's over, okay?
But Congress is certified. Now Congress is
Yeah, right.
Now Congress
I didn't say over, so let me see. Go to the paragraph before. Okay? I would like to begin by addressing the heinous attack yesterday. Yesterday is a hard word for me.
Just take it out. The heinous attack.
Good. Take the word yesterday, because it doesn't work with the heinous attack on our country. Say on our country. Want to say that?
No, keep it.
My only goal was to ensure the integrity of the vote. My only goal was to ensure the integrity of the vote.
On January 7th, one day after he incited an insurrection based on a lie.
So this is at Capitol Hill for people that are listening. This is at Capitol Hill. This is what I was just speaking about. These are interesting conversations. You know what this really is? It shows me like it's a glimpse into, because you wouldn't ever knew that this is 100 takes. And we're going to play the original video so we can have a example of what I'm saying. But man, when you look at it from that aspect, number one, you see, wow, look at how manufactured this is, right? That's number one. Number two, you see a man that doesn't want to concede. Like, he doesn't want to say that the votes are in or it's final or it's over and things like that. No, I don't want to deactivate my base. I want my base to stay hot and ready. I want them to stay right there where at any time we can go, right? And I think that he has some self-interest in that. And it's just becoming apparent to me. Let's look at what it came out to be, though. That's what's interesting.
I would like to begin by addressing the heinous attack on the United States Capitol. Like all Americans, I am outraged by the violence, lawlessness, and mayhem. I immediately deployed the National Guard and federal law enforcement to secure the building and expel the intruders. America is and must always be a nation of law and order.
Now, let me tell you guys before we go any further how this even ties in, right? So what's going on with the election is they're saying it's organized crime to rig the election, but they're also citing this January 6th where he came out and said something about we won't have it and meet me down at the Capitol or something like that. There's a lot of talking about what has happened behind the scenes on January 6th. A lot of it is, hey, Trump said this, he did this, he was hot, he wanted this to have this, that. A lot of it is the other side, like, man, he didn't. So you really don't know what to believe. But one thing we do know is what he said. And he did say things to activate that base in that way. And if we don't acknowledge that, then we're playing with the truth. And over here, we don't play with the truth. But again, we're watching a video for those that just tuning in of Donald Trump, at this time, President Trump, addressing the people that stormed the Capitol on January 6th. They took over some of the congressmen's desks. They had the people from the Senate hiding in the buildings while they took it over and just ramshacked the entire Capitol, right? Because he said the election was stolen from them, and they just felt like that they wasn't going for that. So again, this all ties into this DA that we just was talking about and how she's trying to hit him with the organized crime. I want y'all to pay attention, pay close attention.
The demonstrators who infiltrated the Capitol have defiled the seat of American democracy. To those who engaged in the acts of violence and destruction, you do not represent our country. And to those who broke the law, you will pay. We have just been through an intense election and emotions are high, but now tempers must be cooled and calm restored. We must get on with the business of America. My campaign vigorously pursued every legal avenue to contest the election results. My only goal was to ensure the integrity of the vote. In so doing, I was fighting to defend American democracy. I continue to strongly believe that we must reform our election laws to verify the identity and eligibility of all voters and to ensure faith and confidence in all future elections. Now Congress has certified the results. A new administration will be inaugurated on January 20th.
There's a cut.
My focus now turns to ensuring a smooth, orderly, and seamless transition of power. This moment calls for healing and reconciliation. 2020 has been a challenging time for our people. A menacing pandemic has upended the lives of our citizens, isolated millions in their homes,
have missed this when I was paying
damaged our
attention.
economy, and claimed countless lives. Defeating this pandemic and rebuilding the greatest economy.
So again, there's several cuts, right? But it's just very weird. All of this is happening, bro. This is the country they talking about. Then they're saying that Putin supposedly has cancer, so he just invaded a country and he got cancer, meaning he don't give a fuck about life. You know, if that's a true statement, you know what I'm saying? But you see what's happening, man. But like I say, this country, bro, it's interesting, man. When you start to realize that, oh, they all playing a little game, man. These people crazy, man. Got the whole world in shambles and really playing a game about it. And so with that being the case, right, I then look up and Fee over at Gossip in the City posts, there's a Atlanta rapper helping the DA with these RICO cases. He's not happy how Atlanta turned out. And she left it at that, and the whole internet took that and said it was Tip. Then I got to thinking, damn, why they saying it's Tip? Number one, I was frustrated with the internet saying, little baby, you better watch out for that RICO. Little baby, y'all better watch. It's like, y'all wishing that on niggas. Y'all crazy. Y'all don't even know that feeling. Please don't do that. That's not cool. Wish 100 million on me. I call real niggas and say, I told Bank the other day, hope you make 100 million. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm wishing on black men nowadays. I'm wishing that kind of energy on. Yo, I hope you get 500 million out this. You know what I'm saying? Because I know the universe blesses those that can exhibit compassion. And only strong can give, and to give you must have. Right? And a lot of people ain't giving opportunity because they ain't really having opportunity. They just con men. But let's look past that. When she tweeted that and they said Tip, I got the thinking, man, what'll make them say Tip, man? Then I got the thinking, oh, he got a year for them cases. So people always bat an eye at that. There ain't no paperwork came out, and you know I don't play with the snitch word, knowing his participation. So I don't know that man no snitch, because I ain't saw none of the door. You know, I ain't been involved with no cases with the man, but I'm just speaking about why the culture is viewing it that way, and I had a right to do so. But for those of you unaware, the feds usually don't give a year. So what the internet is saying that, yo, you got caught with silencers and all that and end up getting a year. So here's a video from when he got caught before he was going to the BET Awards. This might have been the second time.
Hours before he was to take the stage at the BET Hip Hop Awards, federal agents say rapper T.I. arranged to purchase machine guns and silencers. Agents with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives arrested the Grammy winner at a shopping center blocks away from the venue. Word of the arrest spread quickly along the red carpet.
I heard his name too, and I didn't get a chance to find out though.
Okay, because I know he's supposed to perform tonight as well.
Yeah, that's sad though.
T.I., whose real name is Clifford Harris, was nominated in 9 categories. He was supposed to headline the award show, but remained in federal custody during the taping. Meanwhile, 15 miles outside the city, agents spent hours searching the rapper's home. According to court documents, T.I. arranged for a bodyguard to pick up $12,000 in cash from a local bank and use the funds to buy machine guns. The rapper then made arrangements to take possession of the guns Saturday afternoon. But the sellers were actually undercover federal agents.
I'm saddened anytime I hear of a hip-hopper being locked up or somehow stunted in his life and in his growth. And I just want a quick remedy to that.
A spokesman for T.I.'s label, Atlantic Records, declined to comment.
when you talk about being at the top of your career, the highlights of your life, you making your highlights and going to jail not once but twice. For me, man, coming from the street for real, there's no way I can make them mistakes unless I'm being targeted some kind of way. But I wouldn't be in a situation where I'm telling now some go pick up $12,000 and pick up some guns. But even back then, dude was a little younger. But he went twice. And it's something to be said for Tip being able to come out of jail both times and kind of get back up to where he was. But that's the video, man, where he was arrested. Let me see if I can find the other one.
I believe it was October 10th.
So this is video of T.I.'s lawyer at the time. Again, we just kind of looking over it, man. We just pausing today looking over it.
At that point, he explained that he was a bodyguard for Mr. Harris and that he was buying machine guns for Mr. Harris. It was only at that point that Mr. Harris came into the investigation. The ATF agents took that where it led, which was to not take the bodyguard's word for it, but to engage in tape-recorded, monitored conversations, and that led to Mr. Harris agreeing to receive the guns, I think 3 days later, at which point he was arrested.
As we said at the time of his arrest, Mr. Harris was never the original target of this investigation. We followed where the evidence led, where the leads led, and it ended up following and leading to Mr. Harris. We're gratified that this case was resolved so quickly, and we're also pleased to see that the defendant has taken responsibility for his criminal actions. ATF does not care what your name is or what you do for a living. If a criminal decides to violate the federal firearms laws in the United States, then he or she should not be surprised to find the ATF or law enforcement investigating that crime.
Today, we're going to find out, what the courts want to do with the king. See if we're going to go ahead and let him get on these streets and get back to doing what we do best, and that's making.
So that's Clay, that's his homeboy.
Clifford Harris has now admitted that he is guilty of the serious federal firearms charges with which he was charged. The next step is to determine an appropriate sentence. He has asked, and we in the court have agreed, that his sentencing be deferred for a year. Mr. Harris is going to remain under very strict bond conditions for the next year. If he performs his community service as expected and lives up to the many other obligations of his bond and plea agreement, then he will still receive a substantial sentence for the crimes he committed. A year in federal prison, 3 years of supervised release, including a year of home detention, a total of 1,500 hours of community service, and a $100,000 fine.
With the utmost respect and sincerity, I'm grateful that the court and the government has given me a chance as a part of my sentence to help kids live safe, be productive, and avoid making the same mistakes I've made. I realize completely that I violated the law, and I accept that I must be punished. I take it very seriously. The most important thing to me is that I can turn this negative time in my life right now into a positive. While I'm not looking forward to being incarcerated, I am looking forward to putting this whole ordeal behind me. I realize I have a very long road of redemption to travel, and I intend to do just that. I am dedicated and committed to making a difference in the lives of our young people today, and I really do appreciate the opportunity.
Tim, can you say why were you buying something else? Were you worried about your safety?
I'm so sorry. I can't make any comments to that effect.
What will you say to the youth then?
He will not be answering
I'm
questions.
sorry. I can't do that.
To
I
get
want to
a
thank
year.
everybody at the court.
Look at Duval.
I'm just saying that because that's what I hear everybody else say. But at the end of the day, I'm glad my man out.
Look at
Alpha Mega, back to business.
He kicked
everybody,
Alpha Mega out. I remember
money.
that.
All you haters that thought it was over.
And so fans took that situation and was like, yo, man, he might owe them a favor. And it's rough putting shit on a name without knowing, but they contemplating that and they're putting it in the universe. He hasn't responded. What I do find interesting, though, is that Tip and them do be loud about injustice and shit. And it seemed like they quiet about the Thug thing, Thug and Gunna. There's a lot of people quiet, but I spoke about why I think quiet. They think be quiet or she gonna get you next. Everybody think be quiet or she gonna get you next. Everybody think that. And so while they were doing that, this old video popped up. Now, Tip has always had the dress only getting a year. 50 done said something. A lot of his little beef and people done said, yo, you got a year for all them guns. Something ain't right. So he done had to address it a few times. One of the times he addressed it, let's look at that video.
And all this snitching, rat, bro. Do you motherfucking understand the violation that you got down, that you guilty of, bro? If a nigga is not guilty of that, and you actually say that he is, do you know do you know the ramification behind that, man? Do you know what a motherfucker could actually press a button and do to you? I'm talking about way of the G code. What the G code authorizing them to do, bro? Huh? You the now. You call a rat, nigga ain't no rat. You the you get dealt with. You get handled.
Hey, what's happening, y'all? Some people call me Tip, but this is about another kind of Tip. All you gotta do is call Crime Stoppers Atlanta.
If I do a motherfucking commercial tell civilians in a motherfucking community to see other motherfucking neighbors getting violated, elderly people, motherfucking children getting violated, they supposed to call the motherfucking police. What the fuck they supposed to do? Bankroll whoever you will, I send something to you. Send something you can't send back, boy. Motherfucker play with me, boy.
I mean, what do you think of T.I. versus 50? Who do you think would win that?
I would have to go with Tip, you know, because I'm, like y'all say, look where I'm from.
The South.
You know, I'm from the South.
What do you think about the whole Crime Stoppers thing that's popping up again?
I think he should have never did it. But one day
So even how T.I. name has came up is because of that post with Fee, and also because Vlad mentioned him to Boosie, and it was a couple of different blog sites that picked it up at the same time, and it boom, and it blew up because they were saying, oh, he got a Crime Stopper video. She said somebody from Atlanta said they helping the DA. She ain't never wrong. They speaking of him on the video. Why he got a video? Oh, man, he got caught with all them guns, only did a year. Then he over. So that's how they coming up with that thing. And again, the snitch word is a bad word. We don't say he a snitch because knowing his participation. But I'm telling y'all why the game is looking at it like that. Let's look at a couple of videos that Vlad, or let's look at when Boosie was speaking to Vlad and his name was brought up. And then we'll go back to that video.
One day I went and listened to it, and you know it don't seem like he ratting on that mother. Seem like he doing a drop.
He's doing a drop.
It's like he doing a drop. You know what I'm saying? But it's certain things you don't do when you rapping about gangster shit. You know what I'm saying? So I think that was a mistake on his part. You know what I'm saying? But like they were saying, he did that to get out of trouble or whatever. I feel like it still was a mistake on his part doing it. But you already in trouble. Like, you know, like he shouldn't have took his ass up there and said.
Yeah.
So again, that is a weird thing, right? To do that. And then they also said he was on the stand. So they just brought up a lot of stuff from his past because he been through a lot of action. Shit was happening around Tip. You know what I'm saying? I think he would look back at that too and say, yo, that didn't age well. That wasn't no hell of a thing. That can be took and spent on me, and they keep spending it on me. Right now, again, knowing his participation, so I don't know if he snitched, but like bro said, you can't be rapping that gangster and then show up saying, tell on him if you get a chance. That's why they gangster shit, all that big bang bang shoot 'em up shit talking, that mean they got to have a shootout, be bleeding and lay there and die. They can't call and, oh man, little Tyrone shot me. They can't do all that. Niggas that don't claim gang. All that gang and shoot them up, bang shit mean stand on the business. But let's look at a little bit more.
Do you would have done more prison time to avoid doing that commercial?
I'm not working. They know I'm not gonna work with them.
So no deal.
You know, they ain't gonna come up to me with no shit like that. They ain't gonna break no deals to me like that.
You know, T.I., you are a very wise individual. Did you see Boosie say he would have served the full sentence rather than participate in the Crime Stoppers commercial? What would be your thought? What would be your advice to him?
I have no advice for him. As men, we all have decisions that we have our own decisions to make, and if that's his, I respect that. I respect. I'm gonna do that every time. I'm gonna do that every time. If I catch another case, you can see it. You can expect another commercial.
See right there, that's that ego getting him. I think that's ego right there. He doubling down knowing how they come off. You know they can be took a certain way, but he doubling down. I'm me. I do what I want. That's one of them vibes. And sometimes when you get arrogant, you block off information. That's a mistake. You know what I'm saying? He supposed to take it in like, bro, you know that look a certain way now. But he's saying, yo, I'm getting out of trouble. I ain't told on no. It's just me, but it's took in a certain way, and you represent a certain side of the game, right? And when you make that cool, what's the difference between that and when you can blur the lines, you can affect people under you. You blur the lines, they don't know what damn, is it a different? Nah, I ain't really said I did what Tip did. Nah, you did a little more, but they'll blur it like that. You see what I'm saying? So you can't co-sign it from a position of I'm me, even though that's the position he took.
News in southwest Atlanta, a federal search warrant is being executed at the home of a well-known Atlanta rapper. Fox 5's Julia Hart joins us live with more on our exclusive story. Julie?
Well, just hours before the BET Hip Hop Award show was scheduled to be recorded this evening, we understand that popular, well-known rapper T.I. has been arrested.
So the situation was that Tip was a convicted felon, right? And he was in with his bodyguard. His bodyguard was buying some guns from someone. He told him, go on and buy them. That's how they tied him in. His bodyguard ended up getting caught and flipped on Tip. You see what I'm saying? So that's kind of the case of what happened in regards to why he was even doing that video. And so from my understanding, the Crime Stoppers commercial was part of the community service, right? And if you know anything about the feds, they usually don't do, and I don't know about his case, his high profile status, they usually do a 10, a 5, you know, but again, with the best lawyers in the world, I just don't know.
You ain't invested in nothing. You standing around in a mother community that you don't got no mother no skin in the game. Only thing you do is stand up there and sell. You dig what I'm saying? You ain't invested in the community to try to uplift the community or the rest of the neighbors or the neighborhood. All you trying to do is go in there, extract whatever little petty money you can get out of there, and go on to the next spot and something else up. You ain't doing shit. So that's why you ain't got shit to protect. Any nigga own property, somebody breaking in his property and they ain't there, they want their neighbors to call the police. So you can get a motherfucking police report because you need that for your insurance claim. If you did any business, if you had anything to your name besides them little bags of weed you got in your pocket, you might understand that. Now, the really with me, bro, is because I'm pushing, trying to help y'all.
Man, so that was 2020, man, when he was talking. It's one thing, man, that I, you know, because I think I'm okay at talking when I get in front of these mic, I hope that when it's time for me to not talk, that I don't talk. Because what'll happen is because you good talking, you'll try to talk your way out of anything and everything, when sometimes silence is the best language. Sometimes not moving is moving. Sometimes not talking is talking. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes when they say, okay, you got to make a move. All right, my move is I ain't moving. Right? I don't got enough information to make a move. Right? And sometimes you got to know how shit is being received. And just because we got a pod, we just going through a couple of things. When Tip got out, though, he did an interview. I ain't never saw this interview. Let's look at it. So this is after he got out, I believe, man. And we just going to look at a little bit of it just to kind of see what was happening at that time. Again, this is when he first got out.
Situation, which it really begins in Cincinnati.
Or you can say it began with my childhood. Cincinnati was a traumatic experience.
Right.
And as most people respond to traumatic experiences, I went back to my natural instincts.
Well, let's explain what happened. You go into a club.
Yeah.
There's an argument with some local guys, altercation.
I don't know if they were local or not.
Okay. And then what happens?
Crowd spilled out to the parking lot. I got in to leave. Shootout ensued. And there was several people shot. One person died.
The person who died was Big Phil,
yeah.
Friend from childhood, close friend.
I knew those bullets were meant for me, you know, and I didn't get hit at all.
See, Tip kind of went.
closer to me than you are.
Tip kind of went through what the baby kind of going through, except for with this, nobody with him died, but his brother died. But he going through a lot of stuff. People go through shit, man. Being at the top of this rap game, it just ain't as pleasant as you think, man. Especially when you got everything at your fingertips. Any mistake you want to make, you can make it. Everything you do, they say is right. Nobody's critical or criticizing you. It's hard to evolve. They say a rich man doesn't have friends.
So the acquisition of firearms comes from the feeling of like, wow, I didn't have one in the critical moment of my life, and my man paid with his life for that.
Absolutely. And then I instinctively resulted back to what I was used to, that overruled that fear. Because I'd rather eat a bullet than to go and lose my future and do these 30 and 40 years.
Because if something happens again, you're not going to get an experimental sentence.
There is no if.
Do you think that you got off easy, relatively? Could have gotten 10 years, $250,000 fine, but you got a year and a day, you did 10 months, right? $100,000?
I mean, if you look at it like that, if you only look at the jail time, if you look at, there was also a year of home confinement. There was also 3 years of probation. There was also a year worth of community service, and using my story to deter young people from going down a similar path. Now, when you break the law, they say that you are supposed to pay a debt to society. Now, who says that that debt to society is best paid in a prison?
You know, with all of that with Tip, man, he got to understand, like, number one, the internet. The internet is a weird place. The internet's going to work like that. They're going to pull your name and things. But then if you look at it with clear vision, right, and you say, you know anything about the feds, you say, now that is a hell of a deal. But then you try to lend it some understanding because he high profile and he got money. And also you lend that understanding when there's no paperwork provided. You understand? So right now, all of this is just theory. My only question is why isn't he loud? You know, he seems to have some political power down in Atlanta. You know, why isn't these guys loud? But again, I spoke last week about, I think that everybody's playing a game of shut up or get put up. You know, and I just think that's ineffective. I don't see sympathy in America, especially in the judicial system. I don't see sympathy. I don't see them motherfuckers. Like, there's a story, I can't remember where I got it from because I take in so much information. But there's a story where there's someone that's taking a person, and this shows you it kind of examines the sympathy factor, right? It has a person that has killed people in front of someone, and this is just a theory. So something has happened where he's got rid of people in front of you. Let's just say he's dug holes for 6 people ahead of you, and he gets to your hole and he's digging and you're still begging. Please don't do it. Please don't see you done come up wrong. They done wired you wrong. You think somebody can. You think the people, it don't work like it. Ain't no sympathy. You got to fight your way out of that or fight back, not just get through in the hole. You understand me? And of course, that's a figure of speech, but he has to understand how he can get lost in the internet when they see you get charged with having a bunch of guns with silencers, right? You go do 10 months, then you do your house arrest thing, all of that. Then you show up with a video saying, you know, report crimes. Like, you got to kind of just understand how the internet gonna create a narrative about that. You know, again, my only question is, I think he should be louder with his voice. Killer Mike is still loud, doing videos, certain things, but Killer Mike's brand isn't the same brand as Tip's brand, right? Killer Mike speaks to us, but he also speaks to kind of like middle class and right wing people as well, right? He communicates at such a high level that I think his message is able to resonate with people beyond just the hip hop culture. And what that does for our culture, which I believe is weird, and I'm gonna try to help bridge that gap, is it alienates you from the hip hop culture, right? So as farther you get over here with the understanding piece of it and able to show up on MSNBC and kick game and CNN and kick game, the less that the street dudes act like they want to respect or accept your message in the same way, right? So somebody got to work on bridging that gap. But I think Killer Mike has always been somebody who's been a great representation of hip hop and rap and some of our ideas kind of drilled down. Because our way of communicating, right? Sometimes he takes the way that some of us have communicated to him or his understanding of our culture, and he puts it in a way where they can understand it in mainstream America, and I think that's very important. But right now, Thug and Gunna them need them. Not only them, bro. All the rappers that have Ricos and this under this, they need niggas to come out and go to talking about this. You understand? Create some awareness. Let's talk about this. Kodak Black was just arrested in Florida with 30 pills and $50,000 in cash. When I first seen this come across the media, I was already perplexed. I was already viewing it in a way where what is this about? Number one, dude just got shot, so I know he probably should be able to have some pain medicine, but did he have it in a bottle, not in a bottle? I know how law enforcement has the discretion on how they are able to apply the laws, right? So maybe the law says if you get caught with this amount of drugs and this amount of money, that's a trafficking charge because they charge the dude with trafficking. No, I don't believe that dude was trafficking, but I think he caught himself in a situation with some people that don't like him, and I ain't telling dudes that breaking the law is right acceptable if you're $1 million. You do what you want. I'm telling you, you better understand what you up against. What's happening is Kodak Black was dying there. They sent him to jail. They try to get rid of him. And then here come President Trump, pardon him and let him out. You think they ain't got no disdain for that? You think them people down there like to see, we try to put him away and then somebody just come let him out and he's still around here? You think them people like that? No, they don't like that. You like seeing a nigga you slept on? You like seeing a nigga you thought you put away? Picture you putting a nigga away. You thought you hid him and got rid of him and he popped back out strong. You don't like seeing that. You understand? So even the idea that you try to put somebody away when they are in their prime, right? Again, breaking the law, unfortunately or fortunately, depending on how you looking at it, because without law of the land, it'll be chaos. And most 98% of y'all can't survive in chaos. Y'all just have a distorted perception on what y'all are able to do if violence pops off. If you don't know, right, and we can zoom out a little bit off of Kodak. If you don't know, Florida has a very unique music scene. It's very eccentric down there. There's a lot being said. It's electrifying. It's electrifying down there in regards to they've now took drill. This is something that they're doing too, and I'll get to the Kodak Black thing. But they're taking our music and recategorizing it to try to figure out what word resonates with the jury. When they say drill music, they don't get that, right? They have to take a long, drawn-out approach in how they explain the word drill music, not only to the judge, but to the jury, or just kind of create some kind of understanding of standards, or they're trying to say that this is violent kind of music. See, gangster rap hit different. The gangster was already a term that was already solidified in most Americans' mind, gangster. So now they put rap on it. It basically self-explanatory. It's gangster rap. So when they bring that in the court, that's a little different. Now, the drill music thing, it gets slippery. So now I see in Florida, they trying to change that, calling that not drill music, they calling it murder music. See how they get a term that's already solidified in the minds of Americans, right? And they bring that into the courtroom because now I'm talking to them without talking to them. I'm saying that, hey, yo, they've created a genre called murder music, which is drill music from Florida. You have to understand the market in Florida. You have to understand all of the RICO charges that they got down there as well. Like, they applying that RICO charge non-traditional as well, right? They're doing it in a way that's not conducive to the way that we've seen it been applied before, but they're using lyrics. I spoke about a couple of weeks ago that fathers and sons is telling on, like the gang violence or whatever's happening down there, it's happening at an all-time high. And they can look at Kodak as like being the start of that. You tell me who brought Florida back. Ross was doing his thing, but Ross more so had a different kind of character in the game. You understand? Kodak had more of that character that was just like a regular Florida dude with the hair, you know, with the whole setup. He wasn't one of them, I'm showing up in the helicopter type things. It was more down to earth, so it was real relatable. It made a lot of them Florida dudes feel like they can do it. So they can contribute a lot of the crime in their delusional minds, right, to the rapper Kodak Black in regards to Florida. Now, this doesn't speak to what they can prove. This speaks to what they believe to be the case, right? So the thing that they do with us, right, with black people is they take our influence and use it against us. But they take our influence, when they take it and repackage it, they use it for what they say is for the better, right? And so it's a weird thing, right? Our influence can be used even by them when they want to use it. But that same person can be shot down by the same people that was using him. So, I mean, it's just interesting. But down there in Florida, you have to understand how that scene is. And I just think they have a disdain for Kodak. He should move. Like, I don't know why people are staying in these spots. Like, my family already know, yo, when they cut the millions, we gone. Yeah, now we going to get the real big mansion somewhere, like in the cut somewhere. Mama, go get you whatever you want. The rest of us, we gone. You understand? And it's like, why we want to stay? I don't have no. Number one, the hood ain't the hood no more anyway. The rules done changed. So all that hanging in the hood for somebody like me, I don't do that. I think I'm a distraction in my neighborhood more than I am an asset, unless I come in a structured setting. I'll let me got 3 or 4 Russians with me in the night, because these showing up in they hood with 2-3 now. Don't get it confused. And even if they don't, me being in the hood in my Bentley or in one of these hot cars, just look at him. He getting pulled over. It's like, I ain't with all that. I'm trying to really run their money up. I might be the last hustler my family got for 200 years. I can't be out here bullshit. But the idea that if you move from your town, you pussy. Number one, come from pussy niggas. Yeah, the niggas is saying that them niggas pussy niggas. You can't tell me I can't elevate. I don't need permission to evolve. Who we think they talking to? That's why they need me on the big speaker. I got to tell these young, man, you know what they telling you, man? They telling you because you don't went and got a football contract and you ain't got time to come back to the projects right now. But you send your blessings, you send your sponsorships, you send your people down there Christmas, but you not coming to hang and chill and just sit around with niggas while yo, I can be training. I don't want to hang with niggas. I can be training. I can be working. I can be lifting. I can be evolving, reading. I don't want to hang with niggas. Who tricked us into doing that anyway, hanging together all day? Who tricked the motherfucker into that? That's a trick. I believe that's one of the biggest tricks ever ran in the world. A bunch of hanging on the block every day. I think that's a game, man. Who tricked us into doing that, hanging around talking? And who tricked us into doing that with all the work that need to be done? Who told us that approach was gonna work? Everybody, yo, we gonna meet right here and just hang out. Who said that? But I don't even give a who said it, because I know these niggas say anything. I always tell them, motherfucker, you can believe what you heard about me depending on who said it. You know what I'm saying? If a hater tell you something about me, you better erase that out the data files. A hater tell you, man, listen, them folk know how to frame some hate nowadays. You know what I'm saying? They'll see a walk on water and say it's because he can't swim. Right? Man, you know LOON can't swim. They ain't say, yo, I seen that walking on water over. I ain't never seen a done that. They'll come back and tell you that story from that perspective. Man, you know that LOON can't swim. Let's talk about this, man. I'm going to be honest with my audience. I feel bad for Kid Cudi, man. Let me frame it. For those of you unaware, Kanye West pulled out of Rolling Loud. Rolling Loud weekend is happening right now. I guess I'll speak about some of the things that's happening from Rolling Loud. For those of you unaware, Kanye West pulled out of Rolling Loud and they replaced him with Kid Cudi. When I seen that replacement, I already said that don't seem right. But I know that ain't really my base, right? The Kid Cudi, the who else in that little the Kid Cudi, the Tyler Creator, right? I know that they're powerful in the market because it's my job to understand the market, but that's not my base. So when Rolling Loud did Kid Cudi, I said, well, maybe the experts got it. Maybe they know what they doing. But boy, when I'm looking at it, them some big shoes to fill. You know, Kanye wear big boots. Nah, you got to fill them big black boots that man, and you got Kid Cudi trying to do it. I just didn't see that being the case. No disrespect to Cudi. Again, that just ain't my base. And I'm going to stop saying no disrespect to I got a job to do. And if they take it disrespectful, then this ain't the Cudi. I know he's a good guy. This more so to the other guys that I speak about or things that I speak about. I got a job to do, and I'll get back to Cudi. Respect my hustle, right? I ain't gonna keep framing it that, yo, cause I really don't care. I ain't really friends with nobody. Ain't nobody, you know, my relationships are all transactional, and I respect that. I come from the street. Ain't nothing like a transactional relationship. I love it. So I view it as that. But Kid Cudi, when they made that, you know, my first question to myself was, do you believe that Kid Cudi can replace Kanye? And I think the ticket sales spoke to it, that not being the case, because the numbers went down. I think the price of a ticket went down, and you'll have to Google me or fact check me. I'm not sure, but I'm almost certain that the price of tickets went down when Kanye dropped out and they got Kid Cudi. The unfortunate thing for Cudi is that he just trying to get his bag. Because let's be clear, it's a big bag. We're Rolling Loud, and when you see all them people out there like that, it's a pretty big bag if you don't consider the ticket sales. If you just do it relative to what rappers usually make to show up at shows, right? That's a pretty big bag. But if you zoom out and say, nah, look at all them tickets sold, they can afford to pay 10 times probably what they paying. But that's a different conversation for a different level of understanding. But it's a pretty big bag relative to the show money that they usually get, right? It's something to write home about. So Cudi just up there trying to get his bag, see the fans. But that's the bad part about these announcements. And I heard somebody say don't fall in love with the announcement. And I'm glad that I touched base with my business partners and things, and it kind of reset my thinking about announcements. See, a lot of y'all do announcements and nothing really changes. It's not really a thing, right? We really want to build the business in a way to be able to capitalize, you know, and make the business lucrative. But let's look at this video, man. Cudi came out there doing his little songs, and the fans just was not with it. They looking at him like, yo, what? Yeah. Let's look at this video.
If I get hit with one more thing, if I see one more thing on this stage, I'm leaving. Don't f with me.
So that, ladies and gentlemen, was Kid Cudi walking off stage at Rolling Loud, in which he was called in to replace Kanye West after dropping out. The thing is, with Kanye West, the money means nothing, right? So Kanye West turned down Rolling Loud headlining and showed up with Lil Durk, right? So because it ain't about the money, and he didn't want the set design and all of that to go with it. They running Kanye off of rap. Rap is starting to become more hurtful than helpful for people like Ye. So they're trying to run him from it. You know, just notice, if he's not doing rap, they let him be. He can do anything. But when he started picking that pen up, they started to be critical of him a little more. As you seen there, people were throwing things at Kid Cudi. And that's an unfortunate thing, bro. Imagine being on stage trying to get your art out, need folk throwing shit, booing. Like rappers ain't like comics. Comics got to fight through that. Rap dudes have dropped the mic. You saw Joe Budden at that rap battle with the audacity to tell the fans, if you boo one more time, I'm leaving. Man, what in the hell was that? See, at your show, that work, at your show, because you got this massive control over everybody. They come to see you. At a festival, they come because shit, Future here, Lil Baby here, Dub Baby here, Gates here, Lil Durk here, you know, Kodak Black here, like everybody, all these rap niggas is here. So they might not be necessarily fans of particularly of yours. So you don't got that same power of be quiet, you know, or this or that. You don't got that same power. Just like we seen with Joe Budden in that rap battle where it's, yo, boo again, I'm gone. You see the same thing with Tyler. Like, throw something else at me and it's over with. He supposed to really told the crowd, hey, yo, this not my decision. I love Ye like y'all love Ye. But pride won't allow him to give Ye his flowers right then. You know what I'm saying? Because he's great in his own right. I think they may have some riffs back in the day, right? But you got to address the crowd. That's one thing about a performer and a live performer. You got to know you cannot ignore the crowd. You can't ignore the crowd. If you're doing a live show, you can't ignore the crowd. If it gets tense in there, something needs to be addressed, you're not going to penetrate the crowd until you address it or whatever the situation is. So he tried to go around it and not say nothing and just come out and perform and get his bag. He got to address the crowd. He might got to come out and say, yo, or play something with him and Ye, you know, or just lean into it. Not because he necessarily think Ye is better than him, because I'm sure everybody think they the best, but because of the atmosphere that you was catapulted into. Right? Rolling Loud set some expectations that Kanye West was going to be that, then inserted you. So you got to address the crowd. You can't just think like, I'm going to get up here, I ain't going to say nothing to the crowd, and I'm just rock my rock out. Yo, social media is too loud. Things are too, it ain't like it used to be, bro. You know, the people, man, you got to address the people, man. The power is in the people. So you got to lean into, yo, Rolling Loud did that. I love Ye like y'all love Ye. I was coming as a fan, but they got me here. We going to rock out. Like, you got to say something. I don't know if that's what we say. We going to think, tank, and figure out, but you can't just come out and just say and don't address it and go around it, and then they throw shit and throw something else, I'm gone. Man, they definitely throwing something. A crowd that big, you can't even handle a crowd that big like that. Throw something else and I'm gone. Unless it's your fans. And at festivals, it's not just your fans. Hey, let's look at this little video I found, man. I only seen the first like 3 seconds, because if something get me in 3 seconds, I'm like, yo, I got to take that to the part and show everybody at the same time, you know, and not take that surprising factor, the element of surprise out of it. It's a short clip, but we're going to take a look at it. I think it's hilarious. So for those of you that are listening, right now we are at what seems to be the video we're looking at, I'm speaking now, not us. Don't ever think we're there. But the video we're looking at is at what would be, in my opinion, a $20 for 3 hours hotel. Seems to be some sort of operation, some sort of date night or something happening here between these two individuals. Let's look at what happened.
Hell nah.
So we're looking at a young lady right at this truck, and she's naked. She has a blanket over her, but she's trying to get into the truck naked. Think she's in a rush.
She's stealing his. She's stealing his. She's stealing his. Ooh, he's stealing his. Niggas go.
Now he ain't got no clothes on either, so I want you to peep out a couple of different things. Number one, old school out his mind. Old school went to the passenger side of the door like we going for a ride. Here she is naked, getting in the car. He went to the passenger side and tried to open it. What you gonna do on the passenger side? That's number one. Then number two, he run on over and he He free balling. Old school lot. I think what done happened is he done went in the bathroom after some sex or something, and she run out with the key finna dip in the car. I'm out of here. You understand? So now he is at the car. Something else to take note of. It ain't nothing like in the South, boy. You hear hollering school. See, in the South, they done took the old law for it. Used to be old school, but now just hollering school. When you old, they just hollering school. He got his door open. Oh. Get out the way, school.
All this law, sir. You got my pants, you got my billfold and all in the truck.
Was school in there or not? That's weird. Speaking of Rolling Loud, there's a lot going on down there. All of my partners call me, they down there, everybody down there. Charleston White and Soulja Boy. Let's talk about this. I'm concerned though with what Charleston White is allowing the internet to morph him into, but I'll get to that a little later. Charleston White and Soulja Boy, I keep telling y'all, Charleston White, don't run up on Charleston White playing, because he ain't playing by the rules y'all playing by. He ain't playing by them same rules. So let me frame it for you guys. While in Miami on Rolling Loud, Charleston White is down there on Collins Ave, you know, mixing and mingling. You understand me, with the people, and Soulja Boy, his people see him. And Charleston White has said some things about Soulja Boy on Say Cheese. I think he had just said like, yo, he ain't a street dude, and he ain't. That he ain't got no ops, all that op talk be, he don't really know what that's about. So that's what Charleston White said, and Soulja Boy end up, I guess, coming to talk to him. So they push up on Charleston White like they want to talk. And Charleston White go to Mason. See? Y'all always want to talk. You know what I'm saying? And God forbid y'all didn't want to talk and y'all did something else to the little nigga. Charleston's a little nigga, man, you know, but he gonna stand on it. He gonna have something with him to even the odds at all time. And we want to look at what both these guys are saying about what happened, and then we'll come back.
Confused for 2 minutes. It was one stand, one had a gun. It was a big saying that big with that man. My partner said he was waiting for you to pull that gun. Y'all would go, y'all. We would go George Zimmerman one of yeah, no, you wouldn't go, y'all, we stand your ground. Hey, I hit that motherfucker one more time just for goodness sake. Hey, that Soulja Boy said, man, bro, you maced me? Yeah, nigga. Hey, I say, yeah. I don't know what 12 want to talk. I don't know you want to talk. Ain't no, next time you better holler with a bullhorn, you better use the police bullhorn and say, hey, we want to talk. Other than that, you can't just walk up to no like me, hollering about I want to talk. I don't want to talk to now something. Hell no.
Man, I don't want no smoke with none of you. If I knew that you gonna get on the internet, talk all this gangster shit, all this crazy shit, and reach in your girl purse and start spraying pepper spray in the air, running like it's a trail, running with pepper spray. What the f? You niggas so scared of me, y'all gotta pull out pepper spray out your purse, running with pepper spray. What the fuck? I thought you was gangsters. Pulling out pepper spray and doing the dashboard. Stop talking about Big Draco. Saying my name, nigga. Got you pulling out pepper spray doing the dash. Nigga. Caught you with your bitch, nigga. Caught you with your bitch, nigga. Laughing, nigga. pulled out some pepper spray and sprayed it in the air. Even put the spraying in a circle. He said, scary ass nigga, man.
I see now you young done misidentified the rules of engagement. Yeah, I think it's rules. I know that bite, scratch, trip you, knee you in the stomach, get you from behind, scoop you, put their weight on you. That's why I be hearing, I was telling the other day, because if you don't know, you don't know, right? And so you'll get to fighting with somebody and they'll try to take away your strength. Nah, I don't want to wrestle. Nah, we wrestling. Nah, that's how I get you. Yeah, we wrestling. I'm dump you on your shit and then beat you up. Nah, I want to fight. Nah, that's fighting. Ain't no motherfucking, so they'll trick you. You understand? And so for to think that, or even handle things to say that, yo, I thought you was gangster, boy, survival is what's important, not how I look to you. So if I got to mace a couple of you, hit you with brass knuckles, elbow, cut a, whatever I got to do, I'ma do it. Soulja Boy, after that came out, of course y'all heard him and said he was scared, did the dash. Charleston then showed that ain't nobody run. He ain't look scared to me. Then somebody else ran into him. I'll get to that. But in this Soulja Boy situation, he ain't look scared. The video after that, he was sitting out there chilling. See, I know what a that look scared look like. I know what a cow would look like. You understand? I know what a cow would look like, and you can smell the fear. You understand? Some of these so scary, they get into a situation like that, and they'll be sweating even if they sitting in water. Them start sweating sitting in water, they'll be so scared. So you got to understand, when you look at him, he ain't look like he was just spooked out or nothing. He looked like he was chilling. So that's a good thing. But then what I'm saying is that I think Charleston got to be careful with what he's letting the internet turn him into, right? The message is good. Everything is clear, but it's starting to seep. It's starting to seep out. And it's starting to, when you approach that much, because then he had another dude approach him talking about power rule, this, that, and the third. And it's just like, when those circumstances are happening, you gotta wonder what vehicle is getting you there. Cause I think when I look at the Say Cheese interviews and the Vlad interviews and some of these interviews in which they bring him on to say certain things, right? To get him to talk in certain ways. And for me, they pimping. You know what I'm saying? They pimping, right? I go on these platforms, I want to be clear, but I want to be clear that I understand the engagement. But what's happening with a lot of these platforms like your Say Cheese or your Vlad TVs, not necessarily your No Jumpers, but those two in particular, and I like both those platforms, but identifying the business structure is important. What's happening is that they're basically paying some of the top names in the culture, say you go on there, 6-7 times, 60-70K a year to do a podcast on their network. And I know when I say that, you don't understand what that means because you don't understand content and you don't understand the world that we're in. But I can match whatever number that they're paying and get you in a situation where you have some IP and things like that. Because for me, when I see these things happening, and these are the vehicles that's driving some of these altercations, and you see the game ain't gonna pimp me. I ain't gonna let the game get ahead of me. It's just unfortunate when you see, all right, this is spinning out of control. Right? Every time they get you in front of the camera, they hit you with these buzz topics, right? And there's a way to speak about these topics. That's why I try to be so fluent with my communication, because there's a way to speak about these things without it being a certain kind of way, right? And if you're going to even have it a certain kind of way, let them be your clips. Let that be your IP you own that's doing all of that. You understand? But again, that's me outside looking in, but it seems like the internet or the message that he's, because the message is strong. People are understanding that, yo, bro, he's laid it out to them, yo, it's a character, bro. You know, I really do this in the real. And so people have digested that and they understand that. But there's a large majority of people that don't. And it's starting to get lost a little bit. Where it's like, oh, shit, they ain't really trying to hip him up. They just using him. They just using his little audience tactics. They just, everybody, come over here, bro. Come over here. Let's do a part. Let's do it. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do. And that's how that work, right? Now, the problem is, and Charlemagne had to go through this, where you keep reaching for more and more things to say. Like they got you trying to find something else to say, something else to say, something else to say, something more egregious, more left field, more, you know, and they had you chasing that. If I was him, I'd probably be down there like, man, I done ran into 3-4 people that quick. I can't be doing that, man. They tripping. You know what I'm saying? I need some folk with me. They gonna knock something out at least. And you down there in Florida, they play different down there in Florida. So, you know, I don't know, but he hit them at Mace and got up out of there and went viral again. That's one thing about him. He know how to go viral. So I want to talk about Andrew Shultz. For those of you unaware, Andrew Shultz special just came out. Andrew Shultz has evolved into a personality comic content creator in this space that has grown to be something that, you know, a lot of people like me and other people that saw him on his entrance wouldn't have thought he would have been able to morph to. What it speaks to is him being prepared for the journey. So I don't want to negate that. And also, sometimes when I speak about Shultz, right, I have such a high level respect for Chris and Charlemagne, you know, and also I've watched Shultz from the very beginning, right? So there's a lot of information I got, a lot of perspective I got that I have to make sure when I communicate it that I don't interfere with the understanding that I have with two of the best minds in the business that I respect, right? But the truth can't be disrespect. So I think it's very important that we speak about things from a holistic standpoint, don't hold back, and that's what my audience hits me for, and so I have to do that. With that being said, I have a Dr. Umar Johnson interview coming in which he said some very interesting things about Shultz, and we'll drop that. And for those of you know, I've been trying to put something behind the scenes with Shultz and Umar at a live podcast event hosted by me, and not none of that play shit. I want them to really have a conversation, and not Shultz can't be Shultz because Shultz is Shultz, right? You let Shultz be him. But with me moderating it without any skin in the game, just making sure that we stay on point. And I have a very specific set of questions that can either expose both sides or clarify who arguments have merit or not. So I just think it'll be interesting. I'm actually putting that on behind the scenes. But dealing with Shultz, right? You hear the narrative. You've heard people speak about him being somewhat of a culture vulture and how he entered into the hip hop. And bro, he's a slick dude. Like, he's one of the best minds at doing this. He was prepared. If I can say anything, I'm going to say that dude came into the game prepared, knowing when to pivot, what to do, how to do, when to do, go get the ad company, right? Because I've watched his moves behind the cameras. Everybody probably is viewing this, and I'm sure Joe Budden probably know a few of the things behind the camera as well, but Joe tends to send shots at him, and I think it's because Shultz has taken some of Joe Budden's style, and I'll get to that later. But let's deal with the special. I think Shultz has evolved into a pretty good comic. You know, one of the best in the business. I don't think jokes should be censored, right? But I think the reason why jokes shouldn't be censored is because, in a weird way, it allows you into the mind frame of some of the people that's telling the joke, so you can kind of see where they at with it. They can, if you allow them to tell you, yo, it's all jokes, there's absolutely no truth to it. If you know enough about them to grab that idea and hold on to it, then I can appreciate that. If you don't, then understand what you're dealing with. I almost think it's better to have things overt, but when you deal with jokes and you deal with what some of the things that some of the community has said, that Shultz has said, right, in regards to black people and things like that, I've been a fan of them, so I know everybody gets the jokes with Shultz. Right, a lot of people see the clips, right? Everybody gets the jokes. I can't say that. So I bought his special, a really good special. Had some jokes in there that he said wanted to be pulled. I'm gonna be completely honest, right? I think Shultz is one of the best marketers that comedy has. I think this is a marketing thing. This is what I mean when I say what he got from our culture. The comics wonder why Andrew Shultz is moving around not like a comic is because he's pulled his business acumen from us, from rap, from hip hop, from music, especially from Charlemagne. He's been sitting next to a dude doing high level business. And I tell you something, it's different when you have to develop in a dog. And Shultz didn't never have to develop in a dog. Develop in private, without the crowd. Where the roars is few and far in between, where sometimes you don't never hear nobody clap for you, but you still got to work on that. He was able to get on a stage from his inception, and I think from that privileged position, I think it's now he's got so lost in building his audience and being able to, you know, grab from here, grab from there, that he's forgot that he came in a privileged position. Content creation, for most of us that don't come in with an audience like a Shultz that has to build it from the ground up, you got to develop in the dog. And man, when you in the dog, all you got to deal with is your imagination. That same room you've been sitting in when the lights go out, man, everything feels different. It feel like something coming at you because you're dealing with your imagination. And it's different when you know you ain't sitting next to one of the best communicators that we have, especially at that time at a high level, right? So I've always noticed how he was able to get on a big stage, right? And I think from that privileged position allowed him to put together an audience. And he's been able to, this is what I also believe, is that you probably could have called him a culture vulture if he didn't spawn into what he spawned into. Like the conversation with me and Umar had, it was one of them kind of conversations, right? But the thing is this was prior to him spawning into the comic, because if you had foresight and you see Andrew Shultz next to Charlemagne doing Brilliant Idiots at that time when the Combat Jack thing just had happened and they were in a very, very good space, and also being next to Charlemagne, you're going to land on your feet. So we automatically in the culture say, yo, when Shultz was next to Charlemagne, no matter what happens with him, he's going to have somewhere in the business to get some money, right? You're going to see him on MTV over here. You're going to see him because Charlemagne and his people, it just seems like an ecosystem. And so the culture understood it from that perspective to say, oh, man, he done got next to Charlemagne. He in no matter what. But I think the respect came from what he spawned into, right? When he was able to actually harness his craft and actually turn that into a valuable asset and not just be the white boy next to Charlemagne doing the podcast, because that's what it looked like at first. No one seen the comic thing really doing what it did. He was overreaching. I'm talking back when they was talking about do you want credit or not? The first couple of episodes of with Charlemagne and Shultz, right? When they would argue and it would be visible that they're arguing on camera. They're arguing on audio because Andrew is trying to do what he thinks Charlemagne is doing, right? He thinks Charlemagne is being rude and saying whatever he thinks, right? So he had to actually harness that craft, and I've saw him been able to do that. And I know he's kind of charismatic, so he's gonna be able to live in this space. What I will say though, while he's running around, because although I think it's a marketing plan, or marketing scheme, I think again a lot of Andrew Shultz marketing and the way he moves around comedy and entertainment is because of hip hop. He's understood how rappers move, how Charlemagne has moved, how Joe Budden has moved. He's understood these things. He studied these things until he didn't need them anymore, right? And that doesn't make him necessarily stealing. He's studying the game. The information in the game is to be digested. It's just you guys won't take the time to digest it. But what I do know is that when he was, what I found interesting, and this is what I say, what he turned into makes you say, well, damn, maybe Charlemagne was right in regards to, nah, he got something, and he ain't gonna just ride my back. You ain't never seen. See, sometimes you gotta kind of trust who you dealing with, right? So you say, damn, look at Charlemagne. Charlemagne ain't never let nobody just ride his coattail. He gotta respect a dude to put him next to him and do a part. He gotta know something we don't know. And at the very beginning, nobody knew. So it's like Shultz kind of turned into what we thought would be a white boy next to Charlemagne talking about rap shit and other shit, and kind of being disrespectful because he don't have no understanding. This is what the culture thought. But when you fast forward and look at him now, you say, oh no, he was prepared. Lil dude had some game. He understood what he wanted to do. This is what Shultz is saying. Shultz said that someone paid him or he sold his special. So if you don't understand in the entertainment business, for comics, they go do a deal. They do a deal for a special, then the people finance the special, meaning they pay for the cameras, the shooting, the editing, the venue. They set everything up where it's this immaculate film that can be TV ready or Netflix ready, 4K. It's got to be the best of the best, right? And so he said he signed the deal for his special, and then he came back, turned in his jokes, and then they said, yo, you got to pull some jokes or we may have some issues. The reason why I think, and I almost think Rogan calls bullshit, but Rogan likes Shultz. Shultz is so charismatic, he's been able to even skip the line in regards to Rogan. Rogan is a very exclusive guy. And I have to watch these dudes, they make all the money. But Rogan is a very exclusive guy in regards to his friendships. You kind of rarely see him on podcasts. He went and done Lex Fridman, which if you know Lex Fridman, a lot of my audience may not know these names, but I'm very familiar and prepared and understand this market. Lex Fridman is a guy that went to MIT. He's an AI guy, jiu-jitsu guy. He wears a suit every day. He's one of them well put together guys. His show has had people like Elon Musk. Just to kind of put in perspective, these guys don't go on shows for people just because they get paid to do it or nothing. They respect the mindset. And that's another thing I point out about in the market when you deal with just white podcasters. They just go have good conversation. And I want to bring that essence over here to us like they take everything from us. But Rogan came to New York to do Shultz podcast and didn't do anybody else's podcast. And you got a lot of his other friends that's been waiting on him to do the pod in LA that'll come to Texas for him to do it. And he just respects Shultz. Shultz has been able to get in there and weasel his way around. Cause Shultz he's well read. Like it's easy to kind of for him to coexist in all these different areas coming from New York. You know, if he got to talk to a white boy, he can do it. He got to talk to a black dude, he can do it. Chinese dude, he slick know a little bit about a little bit if you know him. So again, I'm just helping you understand what's happening. What I do find interesting though is that Shultz was able to, when he dropped this special, that dude had to do like 30 podcasts. And it's something to be said to have that ability. A lot of y'all are struggling to do a podcast a week. So imagine going to New York or going to LA and got to stop into 12 different places over 3 days and do 4 podcasts a day where you got to be charismatic, energetic, make points, be well put together, giving instructions, ingredients, directions, people expecting these things from you on each one of these episodes. Dude did like 20 episodes and then went and done Rogan for 3 hours. I said, see, that's what I'm saying. You got to respect that the dude working. You got to respect he got a certain level of understanding to even have conversations that much. I'm telling y'all, it's harder than it look. Everybody just think it's just talking, and it's not just talking. Let's look at a little bit of Shultz talking on No Jumper about Joe Budden saying that he's a coach of Vulture.
This is a question that I really wanted to throw out there. Andrew, you've been criticized most recently by Joe Budden. People like to claim that Andrew Shultz kind of like used hip hop to get his career off the ground and then
What did Joe
essentially
say?
abandons it. There was a clip of
Gentrification.
Joe Budden basically saying, did I say Joe Rogan at first?
No, you said
Oh,
Joe.
okay. Joe Budden. Joe Budden said basically that
He
you
wants a shout out from me so
you
bad,
were a
bro.
culture vulture and that you use like the Charlemagne cosign to basically get yourself some level of relevance, and now you're doing the flagrant thing, which is not hip hop. Was this ever part of the plan? Were you ever like, this will be a great way to infiltrate the black community?
Shout
out to Joe Budden. Andrew Schultz.
Just so you know what side he's on. Yeah.
You got me. You got me, Joe. No, I don't think it was an elaborate plan. No, I don't think so.
Okay.
He just mad at you?
Say again?
He just mad at you?
No, I don't know. I don't know what his whole deal is.
You see Andrew, his mouth crooked to the side is something.
Yeah,
he don't want to
because
say
he knows he's winning, that he's even getting this kind of commentary from Joe Budden.
You said it.
When you started, this is the thing that confused me about that.
Only one of us talks about each other.
When I saw Brilliant Idiots,
you know,
we both have the comedian
I know nothing
thing in
about
common.
hip hop.
Right.
I've never claimed to know anything about hip hop. I grew up in New York City, so like by proxy,
Right.
the music is part of the culture. But at the same time, like Charlemagne just asked me if I wanted to do a podcast because we would just talk shit for hours on the phone every week, and that's my boy. We didn't really go in it like this will be interesting. That there's like when you grow up in a multicultural place, like race doesn't play as much like in your decision to do a thing. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
like when I'm just going to play pickup with my boys, I'm not going, all right, well, we got an Asian guy and a black guy and an Indian guy, and that will make our team.
Diversity check.
Yeah, like it's just like, yo, this is who's here. Like even with Flagrant, like
I want to be clear with this though, man. Again, I got a lot of respect for Schultz. I'm trying to get him on the show. We can have a conversation about some of these things. I remember the inception of Flagrant. I vividly remember, and Charlemagne, this is why I kind of want to talk to Schultz about it, because I don't want it to come off as right. Because bro, I remember those episodes with Flagrant starting, and now I see, you know, how that's moved around. I'm paying attention to everything, and not that it's a bad thing, but it is worth quantifying when we having these conversations. Also, being in content world and podcasting is much different than a pickup game, especially where there's no money involved, just on the corner on the street. Those are two totally different things. Just to put that in context, him and Joe Budden thing, I think when Spotify happened, see, you have to understand Schultz has connections in the business. So like a lot of us, Schultz called out that, well, yo, Joe's doing something crazy over there with Spotify. And he put a number on it. And the number he put on it, he said, yo, he's crazy for asking for that number. And although it didn't start there, because it goes further back than that, with Schultz pointing out some of the things with some of the things with Charlemagne and Joe, right? He's informed enough to know when Joe throwing a shot at Charlemagne and he's going to call it out. This is back before they got as big as they are now, to where they don't even talk about that kind of stuff. They used to talk about Joe and all of that on Brilliant Idiots with Charlemagne and Andrew Schultz. When he called that number out and said he crazy for asking for that number, I think Joe took that very disrespectful, coming from Schultz, right? May not know as much as we know about what Schultz has done. I don't know if he respected the business acumen at the time, right? Until somebody probably had to tell him, now, hey, dude, doing theaters and shit, now, like, he ain't no small act no more. Like he ain't just running around with Charlemagne. He really done flipped it. Now the podcast space, he's really more important in regards to talent hosts on camera than Charlemagne is if we do just market share. Charlemagne is an exec and powerful in that position, you know, but as a host in podcasting, not radio, in podcasting, Schultz has flipped that switch and become more powerful. When he said that about Joe, I think Joe took that personal, and what happened is he said Joe was asking Spotify for $250 million, and he has to be crazy for doing that. But if you pay attention to Andrew Schultz has taken everything he's done in regards to marketing and got it from hip hop by way of Charlemagne. His understanding on things that's happening in hip hop, even though he didn't take the culture in regards to the clothing or the jewelry, he took the business. So he came and understood, oh, Russ doing that over there, okay. Joe Budden. Oh shit, because he's smart enough to say Joe Budden. He used to call Joe Budden out. Let me lay it out to y'all. He used to say, yo, Joe Budden is lying and leaning on the audience, saying, yo, like, they're going against me and it's me against them. And I think that he understood that and now has put that in his recipe. A lot of times when Joe would have his riff with Complex or his riff with Spotify, Shultz would kind of identify that, yo, I call bullshit. I think he's masking his agenda behind the people. Guess what Shultz does? As a smart motherfucking person, he takes and put that in his arsenal. Now he comes out with, yo, they're trying to block comedy. This is for comedy. And if comedy can do this, because as long as the truth can just live in that space, you can operate there. I think that's a direct result of hip hop. His understanding to do that to the market is a direct result of him being involved with hip hop. These are the things I'm saying. His understanding to drop a clip a week is a direct result from him being in hip hop. His understanding of hip hop, his understanding of black culture, right? I ain't talking about just growing up around black people, because dude had so many questions when he was just sitting down with Charlemagne, just like, so what is that? Like, what do they do that for? And what is that about? And he was interested, and interested people learn. You're only a fool for the minutes you don't ask the question. You understand? And you only stupid until you get the answer. You see? So you got to be somewhat looking for information, and that's what he was doing. And again, I think in retrospect, when you look back, you say, oh man, he done kind of grabbed things from hip hop, took them, morphed them in that white skin, and with that good comedy, and been able to get next to Rogan and Tim Dillon, and I know everybody. You know what I'm saying? And been able to do that even with Flagrant. But I'm going to hold my points about Flagrant till I talk to him so we can have that conversation. You know what I'm saying? I think it'll be great content and also great insight to people that's trying to come up behind us. You know, behind him, behind me, behind Charlemagne, in that kind of position where they got a friend like Charlemagne and they're talented with a plan. Because if you get nothing from this, understand that Shultz came in this game with a plan. He might didn't have the audience. He was lucky enough to get access to the audience. I talk to my people all the time about, yo, it's all about access to audience. Everybody like, yo, he clout chasing. Yo, why he worried about it if a grown man posts his stuff? It's about access to audience. The same reason them businesses want you to post it. The same reason it's in your contract that you got to post a clip from your show. It's because it's the access to the people that's there, and it helps people. It helps amplify people's voices. Ain't everybody talking about that what they want to do? Let's not hide behind it because it's a good conversation. You got to understand, before you get an audience, this is why access to audience is so important, because it goes back to what I was saying. You have to develop in the dark with nobody around, nobody saying you're doing the right thing, you're doing the wrong thing, whatever you're doing. And so the access to the audience is very important, because prior to the people, you can't really quantify your talent. Talent is not quantifiable until an audience comes around. And so if you're lucky enough to kind of be able to do it in front of them and mold it right in front of their faces, you still operate with that high level of confidence. I can do anything. But the guy that had to come up through and chop down and change and to get that 50,000, switch his whole act, and to get that 18,000, you know, do something he really didn't want to do and switch that show up because he wanted to sell it to MTV, and right, yo, bro, it's a privilege to have to come in next to Charlemagne. It's a privilege to then run into Rogan. But the Rogan thing didn't just happen. You got to know how even that happened. I remember how his avenue to even Rogan was. But he always had gave it up to Rogan, because Rogan is big in the space, and it's about just having the conversations, right? Rogan is taught, if nothing else, that, and then just having conversations with people who he think are interesting, and that's what we bring on this side. But if you have not seen Shultz special, go get that. You know, go see that. Shultz, again, is a great comedian. I tell you who else, Bill Burr. Bill Burr is on fire. Bill Burr probably one of the best comedians ever. You know, he has that muscle that I talk about, man, where he don't need no help. He can just go do it. You'll see him go into certain characters, and now he done turned to a white woman who he talking to, and turn back to himself talking to her. It's just like dude gets into a different kind of bag and it's so spot on. I think nowadays, if you're going to be a comic, you got to take something that's painfully obvious but not spoke about and say it. You understand? Something that you be like, man, that shit is true right there. And it's funny that you pointed that out. It's like, it got to be one of them things. When Burr first came out, I instantly said, yo, that dude got a super big crowd. Look how big his crowd is. One of the biggest crowds I probably done seen, right? And he one of them people that hate compliments. So I wondered how that works. Because he really hates compliments. If you know Burr, he's one of them dudes that, man, don't tell me I'm great. Don't tell me none of that shit. I'm a fuck up. You know, my temper's bad. I ain't, he one of them. So he don't really like to be. And so they was clapping. He hurried up and, yo, shut that down. And got into his act. But he killed it, bro. If you ain't seen the Burr, go see that. Comedy is holding Netflix down right now. Without comedy, Netflix probably get canceled in a lot of homes right now. They've built their brand that way. I wonder, was that the cheapest thing to do? They could have went another way. They could have did podcasts. I think Amazon gonna mess around and do that. You hear me calling that now? Amazon gonna have a very large presence of podcasts on their Prime at some point. Yeah, man, we'll revisit, some of this next week. I think that we've had a nice pod today, long pod. And I want to say thank you to everybody that always tunes in this Up There podcast. We about to turn it into another thing, man. Hit the next gear. There comes a time where rubber meets road, where you got to test out your hustle, test out what you know. And oftentimes, if I'm being honest, you become afraid, right? You like, damn, I don't even know if it's afraid because you have the information. So I won't say afraid, but something is trying to stop you or hold you back or like, not right now, not yet. And ready, aim. That's a syndrome we don't want to fall victim to. But that's another episode of the fastest growing podcast. Come to Patreon right now for all exclusive content. Biggest podcast in the world, man. We're speaking to the culture. We enjoy what we doing. We appreciate the love. It's Up There podcast. Show.